Alright, this tutorial you're going to learn how to draw what's called the negative space. So the negative space focuses on drawing the shapes that you see that make up the contour edge or the outside lines of the object, and then the area that's between or around the object that is the background. So this is an example, this guitar, of how the guitar was printed as an object. That's called the positive space. The object is the positive. But what you're going to try to do is draw the negative space, or just the area around the guitar, so that the guitar stays the plain white paper and you shade everything else that's the negative. So there's 4 objects that you're going to draw for this assignment. You may decide which one you want to start with. It does not matter to me where you begin, but all 4 will be needing to be finished and turned in, and it's a 20-point assignment. So you get 5 points per drawing, and when I grade this, I'm looking, number 1, at accuracy. So how similar did the negative space look, and how well did you draw that? And then I'm looking at your craftsmanship. How neatly did you draw and shade around the negative? So some skills that we learned from Faces and Vases apply also to drawing the negative space. If you can begin to train your eye to see the negative areas, the gaps, or the distance around objects, that can help you improve to draw the shape accurately if you can look at the negative spaces. So the first thing I do is make observations, and when I do that, I like to draw myself guidelines. So I just kind of drew in lines where the edge of the object touched the side of the box. So those spaces are marks that I can use as guidelines in the empty space next to it. So I can use my ID if I want to do measuring like we did with Faces and Vases, or I can just kind of use a finger as a guide, or I can eyeball it and just kind of guess. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make those marks in similar spots. I'm going to put the end of my ID at the end of the trunk, and I'm going to draw a line. I'm going to slide that over, try to hold that level the same. I'm going to line up this mark with the edge of my box, and I'm going to place a dot here. That's where the edge of my trunk is going to go. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to erase that old mark. This is the top of my head of my elephant. I'm going to slide that over. The top of the head of my elephant is going to be in this space. So I'm just going to start to sketch in similar lines, and eventually I can just do this by eyeballing it because I've drawn enough that I can just get the spacing similar and the distance or height similar. But you might want to begin by measuring. Okay, so now that I've got similar marks on both sides, now I'm really going to look at the type of line that's used to create this contour drawing, and I'm only drawing the negative space. So this elephant has tusks and eyes, and it's got wrinkles, and I see the edge of the ear. I'm not drawing anything on the inside of that elephant. I'm just focusing on what's called the contour line, or the outside edge. So you may start anywhere on this drawing. I tend to draw the way I read. I read left to right and top to bottom, and I tend to draw in that same direction, but you can do this however you want. So I'm going to start by drawing the top of the trunk, and I see it's got a curved line. It's making this curved S shape. That's going to curve back around. Got a little bump where the tusk is. Let me erase that line, because I'm just working on the outside edge of what I see. This is the neck. Now I'm starting to draw down the front of the elephant's foot. The front leg is bent. The front leg connects to, the bent front leg connects to the straight front leg. Then here's the belly. Then I've got a back leg that's stretched out. I've got a back leg that's bent back behind. So I'm drawing the negative space. Everything around the outside edge of that elephant. There's the back. Now the ear sticks up, dips down to the top of the head. Okay, so that's the beginning of my elephant drawing. That's called the contour edge. Now I'm going to fill in any of the negative spaces on the inside. This white floating shape is going to be the space between the front two legs, and that's needed to show that there's two legs and not one big giant space. Once I have that finished, now I'm going to give an honest assessment and look at my drawing to make corrections. So, first thing I notice, this negative space between the trunk does not match this negative space. So I'm going to try and make that correction. I'm going to open this up and move that head over so this becomes a wider spot. And I'm going to erase my old line. Okay, so that spacing just became better. I'm going to shift over the bend. This bends a little further back and up, a little further back and up. And then I'm going to kind of work around the rest of my elephant, making adjustments as needed. When you feel like your contour line looks accurate, I would have somebody sitting next to you check your contour line. And if they agree it looks accurate, then move on with shading the negative space around the drawing. So, the object itself is going to stay white, the white of the paper. What you're going to do is then take your pencil and neatly shade the negative space. This is a part of your grade. How neatly can you shade and color and stay inside the lines? Because if you color too sloppy, you're going to cover up the contour edge and your drawing will not look accurate anymore. So I suggest you shade in the same direction, go slowly, make sure you stop right when you get to the edge. You may use color pencils to do the shading, or you can use your regular pencil to do the shading. So when you finish, your object should be the white of the paper, just like the guitar printed as an example. You are not drawing any of the details on the inside, because that would not be the negative space if you were drawing the details on the inside. So then you would move on to working with another photo. I would make some observations about that photo. I would give yourself some guidelines or some measurement marks, and then work slowly with the contour line first. The chair is probably the hardest one. The Statue of Liberty is going to be the next hardest. The scissors might be the easiest ones to start with. The elephant would probably be the second easiest to start with. So that is how we're going to proceed with this assignment. You decide which one you want to draw first. All four are required, and you should be able to have half of these drawn by the end of class today so that you're finishing the other half in class next time.